Good evening. We'd like to call to order today's February 4th, 2025 Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting. We'd like to welcome those that are in attendance as well as those watching and viewing online. Madam Clerk, if you would, please call the roll.
Director Miller, Director Richardson, Director Webb, Director Peck, Director Hines, Director Lewis, Director Campiris, Director Phillips, Director Adcock, Vice Mayor Wyrick, Mayor Scott.
Present. We'll now have an invocation from Director Hines.
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, we come before you tonight, and we beseech you to watch over the families of the fallen victims of crime in our city. Please put your hands on them, watch over them. We also beseech you to look into the hearts of the assailants and perpetrators of these crimes, that they find you, that all who seek violence against our citizens find you. This is the only reprieve we can ask for in these trying times. Please also watch over our first responders, our public works employees, any who are out in the public doing work for the city and our citizens. Please watch over them, protect them. Please, we seek your counsel and guidance tonight as we look at the issues of the city as they come before us. Please let us seek your divine guidance in all that we do this evening. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the board, we'll now have a legislative update from Susan Altrui.
Okay. All right. First, wanted to just let everyone know that Robert Kuhn and Derek Smith have been our eyes and ears at the Capitol on the ground helping us out during this legislative session. We're very appreciative of them for that work that they've been doing for us. I do have a handout that I'll be passing out to you that shows our tracking of the bills that we have for this legislative session. Tom, if you would pass that around to everyone, please. And we're giving it to you on the day that we do the actual report, just because things are changing rapidly, so you'll get it on the day that we do this report. But the first bill that we'll be talking about is HB 1034. We're a little bit concerned about this bill only because we're wondering if it could affect the hospital that's located in Little Rock. This bill concerns the Division of Aging, Adult, and Behavioral Health Services. We're not terribly concerned about this bill, but we do have some minor concerns, so we are just monitoring this piece of legislation. Moving on, we've got House Bill 1057. This is a bill to amend the law concerning the possession of a firearm by certain persons and to permit the restoration of the right to possess a firearm to nonviolent felons. The police department does have some concerns over this because they don't want felons to possess firearms. And we are working with the bill author to see if we can get an amendment on this piece of legislation. House Bill 1121 is to repeal the law concerning the transfer of tax forfeited lands to state institutions. And so far, it doesn't look like this one is going anywhere, but that could change. This bill, Public Works has used this mechanism in the past to acquire property for projects, and the repeal of this law could be financially detrimental to the city for future acquisitions. And then there is House Bill 1130. This is to amend the law concerning permitting for residential construction. This is to amend fast-track permits and to allow local governments to create a housing improvement zone. And from the planning department, we have some concerns. The planning department has no issue with allowing local governing bodies to designate improvement zones or the exemption of these zones from all permits. But planning still wants to be responsible for passing all inspections related to those permits, such as building inspections, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing inspections, because failure to pass these inspections could create safety issues. So we do have some issues with that bill. We think that the bill is being pushed by companies that want to vertically integrate their housing developments, like all the blueprinting, the construction, the financing together, and to add the inspection and the permitting process to the list of what they do. This would make the builder the inspector, so if that kind of makes sense. And so it's kind of a fast-track way to do larger developments. But planning is concerned because they still want the city to be able to have the ability to do those very important inspections. So we are looking into that bill. House Bill 1148 concerns privacy. It's called a Privacy Act, but it deals with images that are captured by aircraft systems, specifically government-owned buildings, et cetera. And Public Works has some concerns over this just because they use drone equipment for surveying Public Works lands. And there's some questions about, well, what happens if we were to accidentally take images using drone equipment? We don't want any of our employees being held liable. House Bill 1149, this one is concerning vegetable gardens and the protection of vegetable gardens, which we are fine with, but we just want to make sure that housing still has the ability to regulate vegetable gardens. We don't want them to get out of control and then us not be able to have code enforcement have control of vegetable gardens. House Bill 1352 is to amend various laws concerning actions related to certain foreign entities. This is the Sister Cities bill that many of you have had concerns over. And we are currently working with the author to see if we can get an exemption so that it will only apply to not allowing newly created sister cities, because we do have a sister city that is currently working with one in China. We would like to maintain that sister city. We've had that sister city for several decades. It's very important, so we're taking a look at that to see how we can maintain that relationship and it not apply to newly formed sister cities. House Joint Resolution 1006 is an amendment to the Arkansas Constitution providing that a governmental body shall not use state or local funds to enter into a contract with a lobbyist for lobbying purposes. And we do have concerns about this for some obvious reasons, but there are some other concerns as well. There's also some concerns because we do pay dues to other organizations such as the Government Finance Officers Association, and the way that the language reads in this bill, it might also prohibit us from being a member of certain organizations like that, because those organizations also employ lobbyists. So it might prohibit us from participating in some of those organizations too. SB 3 to prohibit discrimination or preferential treatment by the state of Arkansas and other public entities. Many of you have had questions to us about this. The city attorney currently does not believe it impacts city government as it is written. However, we are monitoring this. It has currently passed the Senate and it is in the House. So we don't know if it could get amended, sent back to the Senate. So we are watching it to see what happens. So we are paying close attention to SB 3. SB 91 to provide that local governmental units shall have no authority to regulate or control the amount charged for a rental application fee or rental deposit for private residential or commercial property. We do have concerns over this one as well. The city currently does not do this, but it would prohibit the city from passing any type of regulation like this in the future or ordinance. SB 182, finally, is to require a local government to continue to operate under the annual appropriation ordinance for the previous year until a new appropriation ordinance is adopted, and we are monitoring this piece of legislation.
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions before we move on? Any questions? All right. We have two modifications for today's agenda. You'll see the deferral 23 and the withdrawal 24. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda.
All A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with Our House in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with Second Baptist Church in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with Bridge to Success in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with Light Identity in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with Life Skills for Youth in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with Brandon House in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with the Boys and Girls Club Mitchell in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with the Boys and Girls Club Pinnick in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with the Boys and Girls Club Thrasher in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with the Boys and Girls Club Whetstone in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to provide positive prevention programming endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for other purposes. A resolution expressing the willingness of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas to utilize Federal Aid Transportation Alternatives Program TAP grant funds from MetroPlan for Jonesboro Children's Trail Phase 4 and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into contracts for the construction of 5 of 10 new rental properties using Home Investment Partnerships Program American Rescue Plan funds by and through the University District Development Corporation for a total amount not to exceed $300,000 to provide affordable rental housing units and for other purposes. A resolution to transfer title property to Mel Wyatt, owner of MW Enterprises LLC, from the City of Little Rock to be used for neighborhood revitalization programs and for other purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Locality Media Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $67,528.13 for record management software for the Little Rock Fire Department and for other purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract extension with Medcore Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $40,000 for telephone triage services and to ratify services provided and payments since January 1, 2025 and for other purposes. A resolution to set February 18th, 2025 as the date of hearing on the request to abandon a portion of South Battery Street right-of-way, approximately 181 linear feet located between lots 3 through 6, Block 4, and lots 7 through 10, Block 5, Union Depot Addition between West Markham Street and West 2nd Street in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. A resolution to set February 18th, 2025 as the date of hearing on the request to abandon a portion of the alley right-of-way, approximately 100 linear feet located adjacent to lots 1, 2, 9, and 10, Block 9, Hollenberg Addition, block bounded by North Tyler, North Harrison, and J Streets in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. A resolution to set February 18th, 2025 as the date of hearing on the request to abandon the alley right-of-way located within Block 8, Josephine Pankey, 3rd Edition, and an unnamed street located immediately south of Block 8, Josephine Pankey, 3rd Edition, in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. A resolution to repeal previous resolutions that would have allowed agreements between the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, the Bill Hillary and Chelsea Clinton Foundation, Heifer International, and One Health East Village Development, LLC, for the benefit of a school of dentistry and a school of veterinary medicine for Lyon College and for other purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
There's a motion and second. Before we go to a vote, Director Hines.
Yes, I know we talked about this in agenda, but I don't know if Ms. Director Doucette can answer on items 1 through 10, the ages that these contracts will impact, and then we only distribute these contract funds based on their attendance, correct? If you could,
Good evening to the mayor and to the board of directors and guests. These contracts are for ages 6 to 12.
okay,
And then, no, it's not just based on attendance, it's actually based on the responses to an RFP.
okay, but at their contractual basis, so once they deliver services, we don't pay them until they delivered services,
Right,
correct?
these are reimbursement, yes.
And then, what are the hours of these operations? I know the Boys and Girls Clubs can have extended hours. Are they gonna be 9 to 5, 9 to 6, or are we gonna have any evening programs within these?
It depends, so they're after school and out of school time. So of course, after school, when the students are in school, then it's between 3 and 7, or between 3 and 6:30, I think is what it is.
Okay,
But then when it's out of school time, meaning any time that the students are out of school, that could be on a teacher day, it could be on a holiday if although they are out on federal holidays. But it's also during the summertime, then it becomes a full day program. And so it's, like I said, after school and out of school time throughout the year. So it's a year-long contract from January 1st to December 31st.
and so none of these are gonna address the 13 to 19-year-old?
Not the PPP program, not the
Okay,
positive
alright.
prevention programs, yes.
Do we
correct.
have a timeline on when we're gonna have new contracts for the 13 to 19-year-old is?
There's not a contract, not an RFP just yet. So I'm sorry, you said a timeline. There's not a timeline just yet. We are actively working on that with both the city manager, the acting city manager, as well as with Kendra. We're trying to work through
Okay,
some
and
of those
CYF,
issues.
I would,
And the CYF, of course.
thank you, that's all the questions.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. We'll now go to citizens' communication. I believe it's Ms. Shayla Hooks.
I just wanted to come today to address, do I have to face this way? Can I face this way to the community?
You can face whatever way.
I just wanted to come today because they have something on the agenda that's increasing police officers. And so I don't know if it's today or another day, but I just wanted to come and just give you insight into my world of dealing with police in my area. I live in the John Barrow area. And usually, like every morning I leave the house, I see a police officer stopping someone, and I may see a young black mother, and them taking their child out of the car, putting them in their grandmother's car with their, let's say, McDonald's uniform. So they're getting ready to be arrested, and their mother is coming to pick up their children. So my reason for coming today is because we want to have a change in our community. We are tired of the Little Rock Police Department officers. They are armed. They're not familiar with us. They are conditioned to thinking. They aren't from Little Rock most of the time. They are for profits. They are afraid. They patrol. And then when they are found to be wrong, the money that is given, or when they sue the police department, the money is coming from the community. So what I'm looking for is for the city of Little Rock maybe to, or maybe not, but to focus on having community leaders in the community. Like maybe a team of 15 men that have been in the community that's willing to pull up to someone without a gun. They're not armed. They are familiar with the community. They are free thinkers. They are from Little Rock. They aren't for profit. They aren't afraid. And they aren't patrolling. When I see police patrolling, all I can see is money taken from the community, given to the bond system, lawyers, the court system, the people that work in the court system. Is breaking up families, and it's not making us whole. So what I'm looking to do is maybe get a group of people together in each community, whether it's South End, Southwest, John Barrow, and these men are trained to resolve conflict. They are familiar with people, they're not afraid, and We just need a change. The police do not stop crime. All they do is pull up after the crime. If they pull this spot shotter out, all it's gonna do is just put emphasis on the people in their community once they haven't solved the crime. Right? So we are tired of that. We're tired of new police officers come on. When they come on, they are trained by the same old police officers with the same way of thinking. And it's not any free thinkers there. So that's my reason for coming today. I may not have it all clear, but I just know that it's a time for change. And we're tired of giving our money to the police department. We don't ever get the money back. You know, so that's why I came today. Thank you.
Mr. William Gerard.
Good evening, Mayor, board members. I come to here today to talk about community policing. We need more than 2 police officers per station for community policing. I used to live on Cross Street off of Roosevelt Road, and we used to have a bicycle cop. Everybody loved him and was not afraid to tell them what was going on in the neighborhood. We need more of that. Maybe we could solve more crimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gerard. Ms. Jacqueline Smith.
Good evening, panel. Mayor, I really come to speak about, I'm not gonna say that we don't, can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? I come to talk about, we do need more activity in the community. Yes, we do. We need more activity with funding for different programs in this community. We do need that. We're at a rate, we're starting all over again from where we began. We do have people out here that's trained, that's able to help, that want to help the community. I'm not saying that the police don't, because they've done an excellent job in solving murders. And we got to understand that. We do need them at some point, because we do need to all be, hey, look, the true story of it is, do we need that much money? No, we don't. We do need to put some of that money into our communities. I'm one of the people that have a community, that have a program. My son has a program. We don't have enough money for that program to run that program every single year. We have kids up to ages of 12. One of the young men that was shot last year and killed was from our program. We didn't have enough money to continue to do what we needed to do. So does the police need $188,000, or do we need to prevent this from coming to that? We need to find a gap here to where we can work within the community and we all work together if it's possible. If it's not possible, then we need to come to another meeting and to a round table and say, hey, look, I know some people that can come out here and that can do it. If the police can't do it, then we got people here that can do it, that can definitely talk to the kids. A lot of these kids now, you got juveniles that got killed. You got juveniles that did the killing. If they were had proper notification from community leaders, from people that could get them into programs, that could talk to them, someone that can go up and talk to them, then they wouldn't be out here in these streets doing this. We can't blame the police, the parents. Y'all, it takes a village to raise these kids. It takes a village, hell, to even live, to have food, to have shelter. The parents don't have it. So we got to figure out something better than spending every single dime on shooters, real time, and everything that goes into effect. We got to find a solution, and we won't have murders. We got to go beyond this. It does not go just here. We got to continue. We shouldn't be here every year doing the same thing over and over again, talking about the same thing. One year the murder's not here, the next year it is. We got people on TV saying it's the mayor's fault. The mayor don't put a gun in these kids' hands.
Ms. Smith, time is up. Tennyson.
Oh,
Tennyson.
hey,
Mr. Tennyson.
how you doing, Mayor? I just wanted to quickly say, because I see the time is a limit, I'm expounding on what she was saying because it's about prevention. We talk about the money that's allocated for these programs, but the programs should be the people in the community. I work in the community. Y'all don't know, some of y'all know my faces because I know some of y'all faces, but I work with these young kids. I go to neighborhoods and I just pull up, hey, how you doing? And I get to know these kids. We talk about the behavior. What affects behavior? It's the subconscious mind. How can you infiltrate the subconscious mind? Two ways only. Repetition and hypnosis. Ain't nobody hypnotizing nobody. So what can we repeatedly do to help our community? This ain't it, because we've been doing this for a minute. I was here like 5, 6 years ago. This is the same thing that we was talking about. We have people that have programs in place that can help this community, that can help crime. But crime is money, though. So it's like, okay, y'all are here saying we're going to help, blah, 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 but crime is money. How much money is made off of people getting pulled over? How much money? I just saw a number from Ms. Hook. She was showing me how much money is getting paid to keep this going. If we can stop it, would that bother y'all pockets? Probably so. I don't know. But I'm just saying that there are programs in place. I got a program called Walk with a King where I'm working with youth to teach them emotional intelligence, to teach them about finance, to teach them how to treat people. That's the thing that we need to go. We need to get down to the root of the problem. It's not, the police are going to do what they're going to do. They've been doing this. The inception of police, slave patrol, that's where it came into place. It's been that way. We're not worried about that. What can we do to help these community leaders? These are the people that are going to jail for fighting for their people, because some of these people don't have a voice. They don't care. Some of these people are like, I'll survive. Listen, I'm tired of surviving. I'm black. I am that. But it has nothing to do with color. It's beyond that now. We have to come together. We've been have to come together. Integration, to me, was the worst thing that ever happened to black people. That's my personal opinion. I have facts to prove it. But if we're going to be in a system together, why not make it work for everybody? There's no such thing as white privilege. In theory, yeah, it is there. But there should be no privilege of nobody. Woman, man, or child. It should be, okay, what can we do to make it easier for everybody else? We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And we get people come up here every day to talk about this. Somebody work with me. I have a brilliant mind. I spend hours and hours researching material on psychology, on how to help my people and how to build people up. And I do it in my little neighborhood in Wakefield. They know me there. I talk to those kids. Those kids love me. We talk about the laws of attraction. Where is that taught in school? Nowhere. Who knows about the laws of attraction? Who knows about how to infiltrate the mind? Nobody talks about this kind of stuff. And we have people, like I said, those people right there, I see them all the time, and they're willing to work with people. We're willing to work with y'all. We vote for y'all. So I'll end it there. I just want y'all to open your eyes and see. Give that money to some of us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tennyson. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the group items.
An ordinance reclassifying property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development to establish a planned development commercial titled Liberton SCR2 PDC located at 2005-2005A West 17th Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, to amend the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. First reading.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance reclassifying property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development to establish a planned development commercial titled Liberton SCR2 PDC located at 2005 and 2005A West 17th Street. Second reading.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance reclassifying property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development to establish a planned development commercial titled Liberton SCRs2 PDC located at 2005 and 2005A West 17th Street. Third and final reading.
Lacey Thacker.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm the president of the Central High Neighborhood Association. I'm speaking as both an individual and also on behalf of neighbors I've spoken with who are against this conversion. I recognize the Planning Commission meeting would have been a more ideal time to speak, but while I believe notice was sent, the Neighborhood Association did not receive it. We request the city deny the application as presented. We would support the use of the small accessory studio as a short-term rental, but only for an owner who lives within Pulaski County. We do not support the STR conversion of the larger single-family home on the lot. We live in a struggling historic district with many condemned homes and vacant lots where homes used to stand. This rezoning would do nothing to bring new life into our area. It will not bring new neighbors. It will not help with the current housing shortage. It will not bring in a penny of new investment. It will just permit the current owners who purchased an already completely redone house to resell it for even more money. Instead of stable new neighbors, we will have a never-ending stream of short-term visitors in a larger home, which could very easily become a party house with remote owners. While we strongly support increased density, creation of affordable housing, and improved code enforcement, this proposed STR conversion does nothing to achieve those aims. If this were a request by a local owner to legalize a long vacant and unsafe duplex, which we have a significant problem with in my area, it would be a different story. This isn't strategic planning. Instead, it's a favor to someone who wants to cash out without having made any visible improvements since purchasing the property, I think about 2 years ago. There are no clear limits on occupancy for Airbnbs, and none have been placed on this one. The city's current STR ordinance does nothing to regulate the platforms or to require STR owners to set occupancy limits on what they offer. While the ordinance contains vague no party guidelines, a new out-of-state owner could easily put 10 beds in the larger house and advertise the place for large groups. Please turn this request down and work with us to revise our deeply flawed STR ordinance to encourage responsible investment and not further undermine neighborhood integrity. Thank you.
Director Adcock.
Yes. Mayor, can we separate these on voting, please?
Actually, we can't, unless the parliamentarian, the only way to do it, we would have to, how would we do that since they're grouped and we've gone through 3 readings grouped?
They're grouped. There can be.
Just one time, Director. Just one time. Just move your hand. Don't touch. Yeah, there you go.
There can be a motion to separate them out for a vote, and if it's successful, then it can be.
Okay, so we've had 3 readings, and so Director
Mayor,
Adcock, you making a motion?
I move that we separate these for a vote.
All right, that's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. I'm assuming parliamentarians, since they've been read 3 times, that doesn't negate the 3 readings, so.
Do not have to read again.
All right. So, all in favor of item 20, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Director Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we dealt with this before, so I wanted to be clear. Is the applicant here? Yeah. Can we hear from the applicant, Mayor?
Yes.
For number 21?
So I bought this property 2 years ago. It was sold to me as an Airbnb before all these, before the ordinance started. When I got wind that I needed to fill out this paperwork, I've gone through the process. This has been a process for months now. It's cost me a lot of money. I think it's great as a short-term rental. Honestly, it's what's been afforded me to keep up the property. As you might or might not know, it's a 102-year-old property. I don't necessarily have the financial means to keep it up if it can't be kept as, or if it can't be zoned as an Airbnb. So I don't know. I put a lot of money into that home. I know it might not seem like I have, but I've dumped tens of thousands of dollars in that property over the last 2 years, and I don't know, it's been a passion project for me. I'm sorry you didn't get a letter. I didn't realize I needed to get one out to you guys as well. I don't really know what to say for myself other than that. I mean, I love it. I think it should continue as a short-term rental if you guys see fit.
Sorry. Thank you. One quick question. Is it currently, or has it already operated as a short-term rental, or you?
It has before, yeah. I bought it that way before you guys started all the I don't know what you even call it, but the need to rezone it.
Okay. So
Yeah, and they actually ran it that way before I purchased the property. So it was shown to me that way as an income producing property. So at the time, it was a good investment, and then all this happened, yeah,
Understood. Thank you.
so, thank you.
I just want the applicant to have opportunity to speak, Mayor.
Thank you, Director Phillips. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would please read item number 22.
An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a fourth contract amendment with Sound Thinking Incorporated, formerly ShotSpotter Incorporated, for a total amount not to exceed $188,000 for the renewal of the wide area gunshot detection service, in addition of case builder software for the Little Rock Police Department and for other purposes. First reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a fourth contract amendment with Sound Thinking Incorporated, formerly ShotSpotter Incorporated, for a total amount not to exceed $188,000 for the renewal of the wide area gunshot detection service, in addition of case builder software for the Little Rock Police Department and for other purposes. Second reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a fourth contract amendment with Sound Thinking Incorporated, formerly ShotSpotter Incorporated, for a total amount not to exceed $188,000 for the renewal of the wide area gunshot detection service, in addition of case builder software for the Little Rock Police Department and for other purposes. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, we've had three readings. We have 2 fours and I believe 9 against. We'll start with the 4. Mr. Gooley, Sedalia Gooley.
Good evening, Mayor and the board and everybody else. I am for keeping the gunshots in the Goodwill neighborhood.
All right. Ms. Dawn Jeffrey.
Hello, everyone. I'm address community tonight, right? Because I come all the time and talk to them. So last time I heard Virgil Miller say some people do want ShotSpotter in their neighborhood, and we just actually heard somebody that does, and that's okay. I will extend that to police and surveillance because I hear it too. We need police, right? But what other options are even being presented to people as a means of safety? They aren't telling you about groups like We Wear Detroit, a group of Black men that organized in the community safety watch group to protect communities. They don't tell you about 13-year-old Adam Toledo, who was killed after police responded to a ShotSpotter call. And even though Adam Toledo did not fire a shot, he ran and was killed unarmed. Or mothers and men against senseless killings in Chicago, where they patrol their own streets, taking on the role as violence disruptors. This city has been masters at creating a sense of fear and promoting giving more money and resources to police for promises of safety. Laser focused on crime, but not laser focused on community suffering. Willing to pour every dollar into increasing police sign-on bonus, even if that means exceeding $10K per officer, but not willing to pour every dollar into prevention programs, affordable housing, and etc. This board knows that this is not the only way to achieve safety, even some of you know it. But due to lack of courage, maybe even its padded pockets, like the police who lobby this publicly traded company, you stopped dreaming and you think because it has worked in the past, it will always work, and that's not the case. I'm simply asking you, demand them to invest just as much in community and prevention as they do in police and surveillance. Dream again, because right now about 31%, and they can correct me if I'm wrong on the budget numbers, versus how much is going to community and how much is going to police. And I believe that amount will continue to increase over the years. The safest cities are not the ones with the most police, but ample resources. And Little Rock Freedom Fund has been working with community members to reimagine safety, and I see several of you here tonight. That means it's working. We take care of us. We create the community programs. We lead the initiatives, even if that means we're funding them and it's community graves, because we've tried to get them. This is like Brother Tennyson said, we've been speaking about this for years, telling them we need more money in the community. So they've heard us. So now they get to decide, will another $188,000 go to police, or can it be given to community? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jasmine. Mr. Donald Mitchell.
Good evening, board members. I voted for it for the being able to monitor what's going on in our community. We have to do all that we can. We can complain. We have to find, we have to research. And I see where the city manager is the one that's going to have to decide if the company is doing its job appropriately. But I just have to urge us to just keep trying. We got to keep looking at ways to improve our community and make it safer. Because we can, we have to just keep researching and keep trying. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Our new school board member, Mr. Osiris Bali.
First, I'm going to start off by saying I'm not representing the school board right now. I'm representing myself as a community member. For years, I've supported the police department, the Little Rock Police Department. I'll give you a few examples. I supported in 2014 over $12 million being built for the 12th Street substation project. 2019, the public safety grants that were over $1 million awarded to the Little Rock Police Department for gun crimes and victims advocacy. Domestic violence, I supported that. 2020 annual budget over $80 million, I supported it. 2022, $300,000 were allocated to increase police department sign-on bonuses from $5,000 to $10,000 to enhance recruitment efforts. I supported that. 2024, budget of over $52 million combined for the police and fire departments. $8 million increase from 2023. I supported it. For every yearly budget increase, you're welcome. For all the money that went towards 12th Street Station, you're welcome for that too as well. Even though it didn't deter crime in the 12th Street corridor, for paying personnel to monitor that $1.2 million in grants, you're welcome for that. Also, the 10K sign-on bonuses, you're welcome. Building a robust budget of over $150 million, you're welcome for that as well. Even when I disagree with you all, I support the Little Rock Police Department because guess what? That's all of our tax dollars. So when we disagree, the money still gets spent. They still get the support from us. That's undeniable. It also goes to pay salaries for the city board of directors. Even when you get pulled over by the police and you miss that traffic court date on Markham, and they suspend your license and they make you pay a reinstatement fee, guess what? You're supporting the Arkansas State Police because it goes to their pension and retirement fund. You're welcome. So let's move forward. You know what you care about, but what you prioritize and what you're investing in. For too long, we've been told that safety looks like more police, more jails, more surveillance. But we know that safety is not the presence of force, but it's the presence of resources, care, and opportunity. Our communities aren't unsafe because we lack in police, because we got plenty of police and we're going to get more. They're struggling because we've divested from what truly makes us whole, our people, our culture, our futures. Every year our city pours millions into policing, while our youth go without jobs. Our schools are lacking funding, our elders struggle for care, and every mental health crisis sometimes is not met with the resources, sometimes it's met with handcuffs. My condolences to all the victims who have died in 2025 and their families. But the root cause of all of those crimes have nothing to do with the lack of police. It's the lack of mental health programs. It's the lack of resources for people who are in poverty, in low-income housing. It's mental health, it's anger issues, it's conflict resolution that we're lacking. And what we can do to address that is by looking at more wraparound services and more community involvement. The evidence is clear. When you invest in job opportunities for young people, violence goes down. I'll talk many times about how we can expand that summer employment program and make it a year-round program. Maybe not for full-time employment, but for part-time employment. When we provide mental health support, crises don't escalate into tragedy. When we pour into the arts and cultural initiatives, where we cultivate belonging and expression and healing, our vision is not a city with more police. It becomes a vision for a city where every child has a future. I encourage y'all to not vote for the $188,000 for sound thinking, AKA ShotSpotter, because that money could be better used and be put into the community for us to come up with our own solutions. You have experts here. They can give you their phone number, their social media handles. You can read our posts on social media, but I hope that you are listening to us right now, because this is just another opportunity for spot shotter, which in New York, 87% of the time, it was a waste of time. It's documented. They said it only was accurate 13% of the time. If it's inaccurate in a big city like New York, I guarantee you there are inaccuracies here in Little Rock. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bali. Mr. Abdullah Woods.
Wisdom is never attacking the what. It's always attacking the why. Understand? We go to the root, right? So we steady putting money into the what, right? And we never attack into the why. So the wound would never heal, right? So we need these are the babies, these are our futures, right? These same babies are the ones who are growing up committing these crimes, right? Right? Why are these babies committing these crimes, huh? Because they are being groomed in a society, drug-infested, crime-infested environments, right? Right? If your child went to a drug-infested environment to hang out, what would you do? Any of y'all, what would y'all do, right? Huh? Y'all gonna say, no way. You're gonna get up out of there because you don't want them to be influenced or you don't want them to be hurt, right? But these babies are raised by parents who have no funding. They don't have no choice what environments they are raised in, right? And so they raised up, and this all the men in their environment are criminals, they're drug dealers and gang bangers or whatever. And these are the men that they have. These are all the men that they have in their environment, right? So what are they going to learn from these men? What are they teaching them, right? So we need communities in our environments. I mean, we need programs in these environments to give these babies proper structure, to be men, to show these girls how to be women, right? Are we in agreement? Huh? Do we want to attack the root, right? Right? Do we want to heal our community? Because all of this is one, right? So in this neighborhood where these babies are committing these crimes, they're going to juvenile and they're getting out with no teaching. They're going back to what they know, right? Teach our babies. These are the future. Why? Why would you allow it? Huh? Why? Where's your heart? Huh? Your baby gonna grow up in the same place. All our babies got to have the same space. You feel me? Think about the future. We are one. If they are healed, it's more protection. It's more safe around here. It's more love. It's more unity. Right? Right? Let's come together. Let's help heal. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Woods. I do apologize. I can't read Neon Furry. Please correct when you get to the podium so we make sure your name is shared appropriately. I do apologize.
I understand. It's Neelan Frere. I would just like to read a quote from the American Civil Liberties Union from an article from March 2024. Quote, according to 2021 Northwest Law School study, 89% of ShotSpotter alerts in Chicago did not lead to police finding evidence of a gun-related crime on arrival, and 86% didn't lead to any report of any crime at all. Often, ShotSpotter sensors were triggered by car backfires, fireworks, or other loud sounds. In 2 years, there were more than 40,000 dead-end ShotSpotters deployments in Chicago. That alone equates to a colossal waste of time, energy, and taxpayer dollars that could have otherwise supported services proven to increase public safety. These false alarms sent police on numerous trips in Chicago, more than 60 times a day, into communities for no reason and on high alert, expecting to confront potential dangerous situations. Given the already tragic number of shootings caused by police, this is a recipe for disaster, end quote. In September of 2024, Chicago ended their ShotSpotter program after 7 years of wasting taxpayer dollars. Let's not make the same mistake in Little Rock. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Fair. Ms. Norma Huffman.
First, I want to personally apologize for last month. I should not have had the language I had when I stormed out. But hopefully you guys can understand how aggravated I am that you guys still say, oh, well, we can't do anything for this complex and this, okay? But I do apologize for my language. It was not called for. Now, for this ShotSpotter, makes no sense. What is the camera gonna do? Nothing. It's not gonna stop crime. It's not gonna stop people shooting. It's just gonna sit there. There's nobody that's going to sit at a computer and watch it and then go out and find the person that shot. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. It's not gonna be manned 24/7, because if it is, then us as taxpayers are gonna have to pay for that. That's not gonna happen. We're not gonna allow it. So when it comes to actually doing something for the city, I'm not gonna be as blunt as I was last month, but get up off your butts and do something that'll actually help.
Ms. Shayla Hooks. And thank you, Ms. Huffman.
Okay, I had 2 sons that were in high school around 2020. And during that time, my children were dealing with a lot of problems. And you guys had a spot shotter then, right? So this occurred, I think someone came past my house. I don't think they were really shooting at my house, but they came past my house and shot at my house the day my father died in 2016. Let me start there. And once I called the police to, I guess, alert them, all I saw was police just in the neighborhoods every day and just stop my sister, stop my mother, stop me. And once you realize how much money is coming from police patrolling and this spot shotter, it just causes a problem. What I want you to do with the $188,000 is put a system in place where people can wake up in these areas that don't have a means of income. They can wake up in the morning, they can log on at 6 a.m. and say, hey, I'm gonna work for her. She's on this program, she's gonna allow me to work all day, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna sign it at 6, I'm gonna get a confirmation at 7 a.m. By 8 a.m. I should be working, and by 5 p.m. I should get a check. That's what you need to use $188,000 for. The spot shotter, if you shoot in the air, 9 times out of 10, the person that's shooting is gone by the time the police get there. They know that. The people that's familiar with shooting, they know the police game. They know what to do. They know how to get away. So it's just like where does this $188,000 come from? Does it come from your pockets? Does it come from our pockets? We do not want to spend this money on something that does not make sense. You can go and pull my police reports from back then and see that nobody was ever caught. Nobody was ever picked up. Nothing ever happened. And so if you are not in the community, listen to the people that's in this community and try to make a change. We are tired of these old ways of thinking. We need some new ways of thinking and some things that's going to help our community. And what's going to help our community is funds in people's pockets, not small term goals. We're going to teach you how to lay down ceramic tile Monday. By Friday, you should know about it. You should be helping somebody on a job the next week, and you should have this trade under your belt the next. We don't need you to go to school for 3 or 4 months. We need you to learn Monday and be employed by Friday. That's the type of things we need in the community. The only thing that's going to help our community is money and education. Funding and education. All of this other stuff is propaganda. It keeps them paid. It does not help us. It does not help us. If we can film the traffic court, you will see an environmental court all day long. If you go and just say, how many people came in traffic court today? It's 105, 99 of them were black or people of color. That equates, let's just say 100. If everybody is given a ticket for $300, what did you make that day? It's 100 people at $300 a piece. That's $30,000 a day. Take that money and put it back in the community. And first off, stop them from getting the money from us. But if you're going to get it from us, use it on us. Make a change. You know, we're tired of this. But have a good day.
Thank you, Ms. Hooks, and Mr. Blake Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor and Directors. I also want to thank you for the conversations and questions that you've had about this vote with me, I know with others as well, ones that you've sent, the neighborhood meetings that you've been to even as recently as yesterday. So thank you for that. And let me also take a moment to empathize with you about what you must be feeling after all the violence that has occurred this year. I know that you must be feeling pressure to do something. I know that you've even heard from constituents that something must be better than nothing. But ShotSpotter isn't it. I want you to dig deeper into what you've heard from constituents. What is it the residents really want? What is it they're really saying? They want an end to the violence. They want an end to what's been plaguing their communities and their neighborhoods and their families for too long. And ShotSpotter will not do that. We've heard it. We heard that. We don't have the data to prove that. We have scientific studies that show that ShotSpotter would not prevent crime, let alone help solve any crimes. Whereas other approaches do have scientific support to say that these are effective interventions. I'd be happy to help identify those and implement those. But the research is there, and I'd be happy to help with it. But the thing is that ShotSpotter is not the solution, let alone expanding it with this new case builder software and adding more money to the contract. Something indeed is better than nothing, but ShotSpotter is worse than nothing. In fact, worse because it comes to concerns about privacy, concerns about bias, the failure to deliver results, and the extraction of money from our communities into out-of-state pockets. So, when you go back to your residents after voting down this contract, you can tell them that you stopped wasting their money on technology that was not solving the problem. You can tell them there are other solutions that are more effective, that you can fund and implement, that invest in our communities. You can tell them you are indeed doing something rather than continuing to invest in what amounts to nothing.
Kennedy Valley.
Oh, sure. Oh, hold on. There we go. All right, hello, Mayor and Vice Mayor and the Board of Directors. So firstly, I'd like to thank all of you for approving funding for each of the community and crime prevention initiatives, which were on the agenda. I'm glad that they were on the agenda in the first place, and I can speak for not only myself, but for plenty of citizens and families when I say that was very much needed. So we all know that crime prevention is very important, and I think that now more than ever is a great time to bring those preventative measures into effect. With that being said, I'd like to focus on my main reason for coming before the board today, which is to urge you not to renew the contract with Sound Thinking Incorporated. I do believe that there's not enough evidence to support the cost of their services and that it ultimately will not handle the root of the issue, which is not responding to gun violence, but preventing gun violence. So again, ShotSpotter aims to aid the response to gun violence, but it does not prevent violent crimes. So indeed, it actually insists upon the existence of gun violence. As a publicly traded company, they have shareholders to please, a bottom line to fulfill. You know, if there are no shots to spot, I mean, there's no money to be made, really. So unless the city has a really high surplus in their budget, money is no object to their investments in that sort of technology, there's really no selling point without violent crime. So I'd go so far as to say there might be an incentive to getting cities to divest funds from community initiatives and into private companies, which might be the gateway to the privatization of our public services. But moving on, let's focus on some of the facts. The presence of ShotSpotter has not been shown to correlate with the reduction of violent crime. It is not. So there's at least one national study that shows that cities with ShotSpotter actually saw similar trends to other cities when it came to crime. If you are interested in that study, you can search impact of ShotSpotter technology on firearm homicides and arrests among large metropolitan counties by Doucette and others, Doucette. Yeah, in some cases, crime actually increased after ShotSpotter was brought into town. Kansas City is a prime example. They started their first contract in 2012 and proceeded to have one of the most violent decades in the city on record. The city of Little Rock is honestly another example. We partnered with them in 2018, and homicides went up in 2019, 2020, 2021, and peaked in 2022. Thankfully, they've been coming down, but I don't think that has anything to do with ShotSpotter. ShotSpotter may increase response to crime, but it does not prevent the crime itself. People who are truly determined to shoot and kill will do that. They will not care. They'll find a way to do it regardless. And whether or not someone knows about ShotSpotter, they can just flee the scene. And this was exactly the case in 2023. I'm going to quote an article from Little Rock Public Radio. This is from, I believe, January 10th, 2024. So they said, only one public police report in the year 2023 attributed a criminal investigation to ShotSpotter evidence. So police were alerted to a murder in the early morning of December 11th at 4424 West 27th Street after ShotSpotter detectors went off near there. And when officers arrived at the scene, they found a man lying dead on his stomach. Witnesses said after the shots, a man fled from the scene in a car. The perpetrator has not been identified. And that's from Little Rock Public Radio, to end the quote. So some cities have canceled their contracts with Sound Thinking because they didn't deem it to be effective enough to justify the costs. I do believe that Director Miller brought that concern up in the last meeting. So I was able to find some information about this. I know somebody already quoted these statistics, but I think they should be spoken again. So in a study conducted by the MacArthur Justice Center, it was found that the ShotSpotter deployments, specifically between 2019 and 2021, using data from the city of Chicago, found that 89% of their reports led police to find no gun-related crime, and 86% turned up no crime at all. So that's about 40,000 dead-end deployments. And so shortly after the study, the City of Chicago's Office of the Inspector General conducted its own analysis, which referenced and reinforced the findings from the MacArthur Justice Center. And it said that the Chicago Police Department data does not really support a conclusion that ShotSpotter was an effective tool in developing evidence of gun-related crime. So again, y'all could go to MacArthur Justice Center's website. They have more information on that. So for the $33 million that Chicago spent on it, they could have hired 100 officers at their salary, I believe, of $65,000 a year. Or better yet, they could have invested in community programs for $33 million. So moving on, it's my understanding that half the people who committed the homicides this past January, 2 of the 4, were boys 18 and under. And that's really alarming. It's a stark reminder that we need to seriously focus on enriching our youth so that they do not turn out as murderers. We really have to do this. Some children are not in an ideal environment to grow in a positive way. And frankly, Arkansas, we are #1 in childhood food insecurity, if I'm not mistaken. And that does a number on children's attitudes and their development potential. If they're not getting the right nutrients, if they're not eating enough, they're going to be hangry, but just on another level. I know, like, if I skip a meal, I'm another person, right? So I can't imagine what it was, but seriously, I can't imagine what it's like to be a child in that sort of state at all times, in a negative environment, not getting the enrichment they need. It's just not ideal for them. And so we really need to focus on our kids and our communities, so that they don't have to run the streets or anything. You know, I know some parents working 2 jobs, maybe 3 jobs to provide for their kids. Some of my coworkers, honestly, and they need all the support that they can get so that their kids don't have to run the streets or just sit online and like learn all sorts of negative things, not being monitored or anything like that. You know, so that I really do believe is what we should focus on instead of technology that really does not prevent this crime itself. You know, I understand you can't put a price on human life. You really can't. ShotSpotter has turned people up to victims, you know, and they've been able to find them. But money is a limited resource. It does not grow on trees. You know, it's coming from taxpayers, and we really, I mean, time is even more of a limited resource. So we need to focus on our youth all we can. Yeah, kids grow up fast. If any of y'all have kids, you know they're a completely different person between the ages of 8 and the ages of 12. You know, between the ages of 10 and the ages of 14, completely different. And so if we can just focus on just our youth, I really do feel like we could see a big change. So I'm saying, you know, you can't put a price on human life, but if you only had a certain amount to spend to save as much life as possible, it would be better spent on preventative measures instead of measures that go after the fact. You need to cut off the head of the snake instead of, you know, trying to keep treating the same wounds over and over. So, I believe that a good resolution would be to split up the money intended for ShotSpotter into more community initiatives. I think an easy way to do it, I mean, you just approved 10 initiatives, you've been talking to them, you've already, you know, spoken with them about everything. Why not just give them $18,800 each additionally? Or maybe zone into another, to maybe one point of focus. I know there were youth programs, there were, I believe, homelessness programs, and I think like mental health programs. Maybe focus on one of those and invest into that, or pick some completely new initiatives. I'm just gonna throw out the Gym Daily Fitness Center because that's my gym, and you know maybe y'all can invest in that a little bit. Throw out different, you know, maybe even smaller amounts like micro grants, things like that, to these like neighborhood initiatives, not just community initiatives or city initiatives that really lock in on some of these neighborhoods that have experienced, you know, more levels of crime. So that's just really something that I think would just be best for the citizens of Little Rock, truly. So please, I urge you to vote no on Ordinance 22. I really do, and to instead focus on community programs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Valley. Members of the board, we've had 3 readings. We've heard from the for and the against as relates to this item. Director Adcock, is your hand up? All right. Director Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to thank all the people who've come out to express their concerns about this ordinance. As you know, I asked for some more research about this, about cities that had ShotSpotter and ones that decided not to renew the contract. I've heard Chicago mentioned a couple of times. The contract ended in 2024 despite members of the city board voting 33 for and 14 against. They want the technology. You know, what I hear when I'm home and people call me is that I have neighborhoods who want ShotSpotter. They want it. There's a perception out here that crime is really bad, but when you look at, and any amount of crime is bad, but certainly when you look at the trends of what's been going on within your city and what the LRPD is doing and with the programs that have been supported by this board, our homicide rates have gone down. We hadn't had a good beginning of this year, but if you look at the last few years, it's been going down. People perceive major crimes, certainly in
areas of Ward 1 has been going down. People want to feel safe. And so when there's a shot spotter and it detects shots, may not be able to solve the crime, but maybe we may need to have more directed patrol in an area. That's what these things will show. People want more directed patrols. And when they get directed patrols, they say we're over-policing the area. I have people in the neighborhood who say, Director Miller, can we have more patrols come because people are shooting tonight? People are committing crimes. People are feeling unsafe. I think based on what's happened over the last couple of weeks, time's not right, I believe, to take a tool away from the police, no matter what you think about it. And it's a perception that people want. We've had some neighbors who came up and said they want ShotSpotter in their neighborhood. I get phone calls about that. Not so many people show up like the two individuals who showed up today and said they want a ShotSpotter. I get more phone calls from people that want ShotSpotter than people who don't. And so the timing is not good to take away a tool for our police officers. We need to be trying to show the public that we hear you. We know crime is something you're concerned about. We're doing everything we can to try to lower it, to try to combat it. And if this feels safe in the Goodwill neighborhood, why shouldn't they have it? We just approved $1 million worth of contract for prevention, intervention, and treatment programs. A week ago Monday, I was at Dunbar Community Center. There was a public meeting there. There was a line dance class there. There were students from Philander Smith who were using the weight room. And there was a basketball league of children 6 years and under. The place was packed. And the director told me we would have even more youth here if we can get some more volunteers, adult volunteers, more mentors, more coaches. I met with big brothers and big sisters. They say they have a waiting list of 60 kids who are looking for big brothers and big sisters. There's plenty of opportunity for us to do more mentoring with these different programs. You just seen 10 programs that we approved. Call them up, tell them you want to volunteer to help become a mentor to some of these children. We have even more money that we're going to give out and contract with for youth that's above 12 years old. If you have a program that you feel passionate about, and I've heard the programs you feel passionate about, I think it was great that I heard, what was it? Walk with a King. Sounds like a great program, something I'd love to be affiliated with. Contact community programs. Fill out the forms. Get funds for your program if you can compete with the others that are out here trying to do programs. You have good ideas. Bring them to us. We don't believe that we can't walk and chew gum at the same time. We can commit money to community programs, and we can fund programs like ShotSpotter. They're not mutually exclusive. We just did $1 million. We're talking about 188,000 here. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to tell you from my standpoint, I support my community members. I hear them who say they want ShotSpotter. And so I'm going to be voting for this. And I want my colleagues to know that. Thank you.
Director Webb.
Thank you, Mayor Scott, and thank you to everybody we've heard from. I solicited a lot of feedback from residents all across the ward from a variety of backgrounds, and the overwhelming information I got was they came to the same conclusion that I did, that we strongly support the police, but we do not want to support technology that doesn't work. I read article after article after article after article. You know, a lot of articles. When the folks from ShotSpotter were here several years ago, I had some anxiety about it then. I listened to those folks talk. I have voted for it on occasion. But as I have continued to read and continued to talk to people this week, I do want every tool that we have to solve crime, but I do not want to fund technology that does not work. And I strongly support community programs, having served on that commission, and we are in the midst of discussing better ways that we can attract kids who are older, and I cannot support this continuation of this contract because I do not think the technology is there. Thank you.
Director Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to everyone who came out. Using this moment, I want to make sure that people who come speak to us on these type of issues understand that you are seen and you are heard. Your opinions, your passion, your time, and your commitment to your community is not unnoticed, and we appreciate you being here. So I wanted to start there. Secondly, as context, as already been mentioned, we have allocated $1 million in community programs today, and I heard people mention different programs that they're a part of. I want to take this opportunity, as Director Miller mentioned, if there are things that you think you can partner with the city on, let's figure that out. Reach out to us, reach out to me directly, and I'll get you in contact with our community programs department and see how we can use the city resources in your program if it can work. Obviously, there's boxes to check and legal things, but we're not turning away ideas. We're not turning away from our people in our community who want to help make Little Rock a better place for everyone to live in. Thirdly, like Director Webb, I spent a lot of time researching this, talking to folks, thinking about this myself, and I'm convinced, like she is, that I don't know if this is a good use of resources based on the data. And I also did some research, and by research, asking people and staff about the previous history of this technology. And since 2018, we have authorized this 5 times, we, the city. The previous 4 times have all been federal grant funding. This is, if I'm understanding it correctly, will be the first time where it's actually the Little Rock taxpayer dollars. That also gives me a different perspective on the use of the technology in this case. So with all those reasons and the idea that there's other ways to be impactful, that's more efficient and effective use of our resources, I'll be voting no on this as well, and I wanted my colleagues to know that, and I want the people of Little Rock to know that as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor Wyrick.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to state that in Ward 7, we do not have ShotSpotter anywhere. And every neighborhood I go to, people are talking about, I hear shots fired. I hear shots every night. Every day, I hear shots fired. I don't know what to do about it. It's scaring me. So I always say that you need to call 911 and report the shots fired. Well, I don't know where they are. You know, they're behind me, or they're to the left of me, or whatever. And I said, call them and give them your best guess, because there's a possibility that somebody else on your block or someone behind you heard the same shots. Maybe the police department can put some coordinates together and figure out where that shot's coming from. And so we're kind of on our own to identify, okay, shots fired on my street. You know, it's north of me, south of me, whatever. In this particular case with ShotSpotter, it sends a signal to 911, and 911 does a report and dispatches the police officers. It's a priority 2 report. And in the case of Southwest Little Rock Ward 7, where we don't have ShotSpotter, it's a priority 4 report. So you're down the totem pole. And guess what? If somebody comes in that's got a burglary or some other priority call, they'll drop down to 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever. So for me, I would rather have a tool, and it is a tool for the police department. I'd rather have a tool that sends the police department to a site as opposed to having a resident call and say, well, I think it's north or I think it's south. So I'm going to be supporting ShotSpotter again.
Director Lewis.
Good evening, thank you. I just want to say thanks to all of you for your comments. They were very well received. I myself have done a lot of research and talking to others about this ShotSpotter as well. And what I've realized is there are none in Ward 6 as well. They're only at the 10th and Asher intersection, or so to speak, 2-mile radius. But anyway, and I can just tell you, speaking from Ward 6 specifically, there is a great number of people who are wanting more police presence. Now, I'm not saying technology, but they're wanting more police presence. They are welcoming the extra patrolling. It was just a shootout Saturday night. So while I do support the police, I want to say that I support the police, but I do feel it important to put more resources in the community, giving more toward opportunities for programs. I'm glad the young man spoke up. I really want his information as well as others. As Director Miller stated, we are here open and accessible to get your feedback and assist where needed. Please feel free to put yourselves out there, figure out how to apply for the grants so that way funding can go towards these programs. But I did want to speak on record just to say I know a lot of statistics and data has been shown around other cities, but when it comes to Little Rock, there have not been any Little Rock police shootings involved with that ShotSpotter area. There have not been. So I just want to speak about Little Rock. But to piggyback off my comment, I will be giving my support for more funding and more resources for the community and not necessarily the technology. So I will be voting no.
Director Hines.
Thank you, Mayor. I too, my ward does not have ShotSpotter. I do hear from folks that live in other wards as I traverse the city that the public perception in the wards that don't have it and the areas that don't have it is they'd like to have it. So the public perception in most areas is that it works. I can only base our information off the data that Sergeant Bewley and our own real-world experiences in Little Rock. And our LRPD professionals, along with our Real-Time Crime Information Center, feel that it is a tool that they need in their toolbox. You know, I find it frankly disingenuous that you sit up here and say you're not getting enough funding when we just approved $1 million in funding to go to prevention treatments in our city. Programs that work, that I feel we need to broaden, and I agree with you. We need intervention out in the communities where meet the kids where they are. Most of the programs that we funded tonight put a location to get the kids to, but we need to be doing stuff where the kids are. So I appreciate your willingness and involvement. It's all about getting involved. But again, this is just one tool in the toolbox. I am on a much different deal. I think we should actually be spending more on ShotSpotter and put it in the neighborhoods that want it. You know, it's a little hard to move them, but I think for our real world lived environment, Sergeant Bewley was up here, gave us the data that they found and felt it was a good tool. So I'll be supportive of this.
Members of the city board, we've now had 3 readings. We've heard from the community. I also want to share, as many know, the Public Safety Commission forwarded the request to be separated due to the contention on this item from a number of different areas that we've heard from around the city, and that's the reason why it came to you from a separate item perspective. I want to also share appreciation to the city attorney's team who've been kind of helping navigate through that process. from that standpoint. And so now that we've heard from everyone, we've heard from the Public Safety Commission, we've heard the data, we've heard from the board members, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Nays have it.
Roll call.
There's a roll call.
Director Lewis. Director Campuris. Director Phillips.
No.
Director Adcock. Director Miller. Director Webb. Director Hines.
Yes.
5-3 with 2 absent. Oh, Vice Mayor Wyrick, sorry. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 5-3 with 2 absent.
Parliamentarian.
It fails. You can vote only in the case of a tie.
I wasn't asking.
We only have one absent, so something's wrong.
We have 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right, sorry, Derek.
What were you saying, parliamentarian? So it
It failed.
It did fail. Members of the members to the public who didn't understand just happened. We have to have 6 votes to pass legislation, and there's only 5 yes votes. There were 3 nay votes, and so the item failed.
Yes, y'all right.
Have a nice night, Lynn.
Members of the board, please, Madam Clerk, item number 25.
It's a public hearing, Mayor.
Now open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the item.
An ordinance for partial alley right-of-way abandonment of Block 10, Woodruff's Addition, owned by applicants Woodruff Oz Investments, LLC, Haybar Properties, LLC, and Rainwater Properties, LLC, and for other purposes. First reading.
It's not reauthorized. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I don't have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say
Can I-
aye. All those opposed, say nay.
Mayor, you got a problem. You haven't done 24 under the group time, under the separate.
23 and 24
23
withdrawn.
also withdrawn?
Yeah,
Okay.
23 was deferred, 24 was
No
withdrawn.
problem. Motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance for partial alley right-of-way abandonment of Block 10, Woodruff's Addition, owned by applicants Woodruff Oz Investments, LLC, Haybar Properties, LLC, and Rainwater Properties, LLC, and for other purposes. Second reading.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. We'll now close.
We have one more reading.
That was third reading.
That was only second.
Yes, ma'am. The clerk, yeah.
An ordinance for partial alley right-of-way abandonment of Block 10, Woodruff's Addition, owned by applicants Woodruff Oz Investments, LLC, Haybar Properties, LLC, and Rainwater Properties, LLC, and for other purposes. Third and final reading.
We have had 3 readings, correct, Madam Clerk?
Make sure you close the hearing.
We'll now close the hearing, Madam Clerk. All those in favor, please, well, Director Adcock, did you have a question on this? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, say nay. We're going to executive session. We'll be back. the executive session, nothing to report back. All the, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion set
You gotta say why you're here.
for personnel. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.